Welcome to the video, guys. So we got some more Brexit news coming here, and this time it's from Ursula von der Leyen back, who has been running her mouth over in the EU in the last couple of days, with the BBC reporting Brexit. UK must consider deal trade-offs, says von der Leyen back. The UK should consider the trade-offs it is willing to make in a post-Brexit deal, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says. Well, she can say what she wants, because Boris doesn't need to make any concessions or consider trade-offs at all. He's got an 80-seat majority and a resounding mandate from the country. He can literally just walk away with no deal right now if he had the bottle, which we know he don't. She said the closer the UK's access to the single market, which it is leaving, the more it must adhere to EU rules, which the government has already said is not going to happen. So she can say what she wants, like I said, the government better not do it. Cabinet Minister Michael Gove said the UK would regain its economic and political independence, and any deal would need to reflect that reality. Both sides agreed that differences remained after last week's trade talks. The UK wants a Canada-style free trade agreement, while Brussels has called for a closer relationship. Yeah, because they want us to keep paying in the pot to keep their heads above water. Look at the trouble they've had getting their budget through. Because most of the other countries don't want to pick up the bill that we used to foot. The second round of discussions is due to start on the 18th of March in London. In a written ministerial statement, Mr Gove said the UK expected to table a number of legal texts, including a draft free trade agreement ahead of the meeting, which, guys, is supposed to come soon. I will do a video on it when they actually release it. I think the last I heard it was due out on Thursday. But last month, he warned the government would walk away from trade talks in June unless there was a broad outline of a deal. And that better mean a deal that means a real Brexit. Because otherwise, they need to just walk away on no deal right away. Boris Johnson has said if the UK does not get a deal similar to the EU-Canada trade agreement, then the trade would be based on World Trade Organization rules, or WTO. Speaking to reporters in Brussels, Ms von der Leyen back acknowledged there were differences between the two sides following the first round of negotiations. We are aware that there are differences in the approach towards what scope the future agreement should have and what are, if I may say so, the rules of the game everybody has to abide to, she said. Well, you don't set the rules, that is for sure. We are an independent nation and we will make those decisions ourselves. It will be important that the UK makes up its mind. The closer they want to have access to the single market, the more they have to play by the rules that are the rules of the single market. Well, you better tell all those French fishermen and farmers, along with every other EU state's agricultural and manufacturing businesses, that you're going to try and play hardball and they might not have access to the UK market. See how far that gets you. Because this, I'm sorry to say, from the EU is a load of old nonsense. At the end of the day, they have no real power. If the EU member states don't like what they're doing, they will have to walk it back. As we're us, we are one nation. What we want is what we want. The EU don't have that and never can. If this is not the UK's choice, then of course they will be more distant and it will be more difficult for the UK to access the single market. And it will be a hell of a lot more difficult for your businesses to sell their goods, and of course the French fishermen to catch our fish, which is something you have no control over and is going to force you into making concessions more than it will force Boris Johnson into doing anything, providing of course he's got the minerals. She said it was up to the UK within the negotiations to think about the trade-offs they want to take into account. Absolutely none. It's our way or the highway this time, sweet cheeks, that is for sure. Mr Gove later published a statement saying there had been a degree of common understanding during the discussions in some areas, which would be returned to in future talks. But he added, in other areas, notably fisheries, governance and dispute settlement, and the so-called level playing field, there were, as expected, significant differences. Yeah, the difference needs to be, we ain't doing it your way, end of story. Following last week's trade talks in Brussels, the Prime Minister's Europe advisor, David Frost, said the two sides now understand each other well. Yeah, because he's gone over there and told them what's what, which is something we didn't see under the last administration. EU Chief Negotiator Michel Barnier said the talks had been constructive, but there were very serious divergences between the sides. A UK government spokesman said its team had made clear the UK would regain our legal and economic independence and that the future relationship must reflect that fact. And it better do, because Boris Johnson knows we'll have his balls in a vice quicker than he can be accused of beating his missus up by the Guardian reading neighbours that he used to have. There is no reason on earth that we are going to accept any rules from the EU, or no reason on the earth that the people of this country will accept it. It has to be a full Brexit, or Boris Johnson is in the same boat as Theresa May. And of course, the Corbynated chicken, who even after 40 odd more years of EU scepticism, turned round and became a shill for the European Union, helping secure his party's worst defeat in 85 years. Well, I say helping secure it, the geezer is literally called terrorist organisations friends, so maybe that didn't even really play a part. Perhaps the reason they lost so bad was just him. I'm sure he would have been enough. Now, we do have reports out today from the Telegraph that Boris Johnson is pushing more towards getting rid of EU rules and regulations, with this article saying let's seize the day by chucking these 15 bits of EU red tape on our Brexit bonfire. So Ursula von der Leyen on your back, you can keep on wishing, but Britain is not going to continue to be subservient to the European Union. Your level playing field is essentially chains holding us back. It's not going to happen. The government is running a competition. In this one, we all win prizes, because the aim is to cut burdensome and unnecessary red tape. Stepping back from the EU single regulatory market means that the country no longer needs to implement swathes of EU laws, except where they specifically cover exported goods, where existing laws had stress lines or fractures. These are no longer out of scope and can be changed or binned. Now, I'm not going to bother reading through it, but you get the point. Ursula von der Leyen on her back thinks that we are going to stay aligned with her. She is very much mistaken. Hopefully, Boris Johnson is going to take us out of the EU in a proper fashion. Now, as most of you will know by now, the grooming gang petition reached over 100,000 during the night. It currently sits at 104,566. So if you have not signed it already, make sure to sign it. We are not finished at 100,000. And if you have signed it, share it around everywhere. Tell your friends in person, tell people at work, tell everyone on the street you meet. We need to get this out to people that don't necessarily watch YouTube or check the internet that regularly. If the media won't push it out there, we'll have to push it out in other ways that we can, until hopefully they actually do it. Now, as always, this is the media, so do not hold your breath on that one, but surely we're allowed to hope they will. So far, like I said in my video earlier, only the Independent have really picked up on this. But given they are the ones who put in the Freedom of Information request, that let us know that the report had actually been completed. It does not surprise me that they got involved, but still, props to them. So, once again, I know I'm badgering on about this in every video, but sign the petition, share it around, let's get it over 1 million. And even then, I still won't be happy. But on that note, guys, I am going to end the video there. Now, before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now, as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.